When did your entire class unite against a teacher? Mr. Rivera had been our English teacher since September, and everything was normal until the Tuesday after winter break. He walked into class 10 minutes late, which never happened, and his hands were shaking when he wrote the assignment on the board. Read chapter 7 and answer questions 1 through 9. Skip question 5. His handwriting was messier than usual. Someone asked if he was okay, and he said he was fine, just tired from the holidays. But his eyes kept darting to the door like he expected someone to burst in. The next day, he gave us a pop quiz with weird instructions. Write a paragraph about your favorite childhood memory. Include the words red, door, and basement in your response. Make sure your paper has your home address at the top. My friend Marcus raised his hand and asked why we needed our addresses on a quiz. Mr. Rivera stared at him for a long moment before saying it was for his records. But he already had our addresses from the school system. That Friday, he assigned us a group project that made no sense. Work in groups of 4 to create an emergency contact list. Include parents' names, phone numbers, and work addresses. Also note if anyone in your family works in law enforcement. The entire class exchanged confused looks. This was English class, not some kind of census project. When someone asked what this had to do with English, Mr. Rivera said it was about organizational skills and following directions. But his voice cracked when he said it. The following week, things got stranger. Mr. Rivera started leaving class for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, always during the last 15 minutes of the period. He'd say he needed to check his messages or grab something from the office. We'd hear him in the hallway talking in this quiet, urgent voice, but could never make out the words. One day, Destiny followed him and saw him standing in the stairwell on his phone. She said he looked terrified. Tuesday morning, we walked in to find a new assignment on the board written in all capital letters. Essay due Friday. Describe the layout of your home. Include number of entrances, exits, windows on first floor, and whether you have a security system. Mr. Rivera wasn't even there yet. When he showed up 5 minutes later, he looked shocked to see it, like someone else had written it. He erased it immediately and gave us a different assignment about symbolism in the book we were reading. During lunch, 7 of us sat together trying to figure out what was happening. All these assignments asking for personal information, Mr. Rivera's weird behavior and constant phone calls, the way he seemed scared. Marcus suggested maybe he was having a breakdown. Destiny thought he might be in some kind of trouble, but none of it explained why he needed to know about our homes and families. That's when Sophie pulled out all the assignments from the past 3 weeks and laid them on the table. She'd kept everything. We spread them out and started looking for patterns. The questions he told us to skip on various assignments. Skip question 5. Skip numbers 2 and 7. Skip the last paragraph. Sophie wrote down all the skip instructions in order. 5, 2, 7. Last. Then she tried reading just the skipped questions. Question 5 from the first assignment had been about describing a dangerous situation. Question 2 from another worksheet asked about calling for help. Question 7 asked about trust. The last paragraph of Friday's reading was about someone being watched. Sarah grabbed her phone and pulled up Mr. Rivera's social media. She'd looked him up at the start of the year when we were curious about our new teacher. His last post was from December 22nd, right before winter break. It was a picture of his classroom with a caption that said, "Thank you to all my students for a great semester. Looking forward to what comes next." But if you zoomed in on the whiteboard in the background, there was writing. Really small writing in the corner that none of us had noticed before. Sarah zoomed in as much as her phone would allow. The writing said, "If something happens, check my desk. Third drawer." Thursday afternoon, Mr. Rivera didn't show up to class at all. A substitute teacher arrived and told us Mr. Rivera had called in sick. We'd have a substitute for the rest of the week. The substitute seemed nervous and kept looking at his phone. That's when Marcus made a decision that changed everything. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. The second the final bell rings, Marcus turns to me with a determined look in his eyes. "I'm going back," he whispers, glancing over his shoulder at the substitute, who's still checking his phone nervously. "We need to check that drawer." "Are you crazy?" I hiss back. "You can't just break into a teacher's desk." Sophie and Sarah join us in the hallway, their faces tight with concern. Destiny trails behind, keeping watch to make sure the substitute isn't following. "It's not breaking in if he literally told us to check it," Marcus argues. "Something's wrong. You all saw how he's been acting. And now he's suddenly sick with this weird substitute who keeps looking at his phone like he's waiting for instructions." He's right, and we all know it. There's an uncomfortable silence as we weigh our options. "The janitor won't lock up for another hour," Sophie says finally. "Most of the teachers will be gone in 30 minutes. I'll create a distraction," Sarah offers. "I'll tell the substitute I think I left my phone in the classroom. While he's helping me look, Marcus can check the drawer." It's a simple plan, but it works. 20 minutes later, the 5 of us are huddled in the empty classroom while Marcus carefully slides open the third drawer of Mr. Rivera's desk. The substitute had rushed off after getting another mysterious text message, leaving Sarah without needing to use her distraction after all. "Holy shit," Marcus whispers, pulling out a black notebook and a small flash drive wrapped in a sticky note that reads, "Password, skipped questions." Sophie's eyes widen. "The skip instructions," she breathes. 5, 2, 7, last. That must be what he meant. We gather around one of the classroom computers, inserting the flash drive. A password prompt appears, and Sophie types in 5271 with steady fingers. The screen flashes red. "Access denied." "Wait," she says, flipping through her folder. "Maybe it's not the numbers themselves, but what was in those questions?" She pulls out the assignments and reads through the skipped questions again. Question 5 was about describing a dangerous situation. Question 2 asked about calling for help. Question 7 asked about trust. The last paragraph was about someone being watched. "So the password could be dangerous help trust watched," Destiny suggests. Sophie tries it, but the screen flashes red again. "Maybe just the first letter of each word?" Marcus suggests. "DHTW? TS. Sophie types it in, and the drive unlocks, revealing a single document titled, "If you're reading this." We huddle closer as Sophie opens it. To whoever found this, I pray it's one of my students and not them. I've been trying to warn you without putting you in danger. They're watching me. They've been watching since December 23rd. They want information about a case I witnessed 3 years ago before I entered the witness protection program. Yes, Rivera isn't my real name. They know who my students are. They're threatening to target you if I don't cooperate. I've been trying to give them fake information, but they're getting impatient. They want addresses, family details, security information. I've been skipping questions and assignments, hoping someone would notice the pattern. I don't know who to trust. The substitute they're sending isn't from the school. He's one of them. I'm trying to protect my family. We may need to disappear again. If I don't return to class, something has happened. Contact this number, 202-555-0147. Tell them Blue Jay's nest is compromised. They'll understand. The 5 of us stare at each other in shocked silence. Mr. Rivera is in witness protection? Someone's threatening him and us? We need to check his social media again, Sarah says, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. She navigates to his profile and scrolls through his sparse posts. Look at this. She shows us a post from 3 days ago, a simple picture of a sunset with the caption, "Family time is precious. Hold them close while you can." That's the day his family disappeared, Sophie whispers. Marcus flips through the black notebook we found. It's filled with what looks like random numbers and letters, some kind of code. But in the back, there's a newspaper clipping about a major drug trafficking case from 3 years ago. A witness testimony had brought down an entire organization. The witness's name is redacted, but there's a small note in Mr. Rivera's handwriting, the beginning of the end. We need to call that number, Destiny says firmly. Wait, I caution, what if it's a trap? What if whoever's threatening him is trying to find out who knows about this? Then we need more evidence, Sophie says, gathering the assignments again. She lays them out on a desk and starts marking specific letters in the skipped questions. There's another pattern here, she says after a few minutes. If you take the first letter of every third word in each skipped question, it spells out blackmailed by Cortez family help. Marcus's face goes pale. The Cortez family, as in the drug cartel that got busted 3 years ago, the ones who supposedly had connections inside law enforcement, the same ones who had that lieutenant killed in witness protection last year, Sarah adds quietly. It was all over the news. Destiny pulls out her phone and starts searching. Guys, she says after a moment, her voice trembling. I just checked the local news. 3 days ago, police responded to a potential break-in at a house in Oakwood Heights. The family wasn't home, but signs of forced entry were found. The homeowners were listed as John and Maria Rivera. The substitute teacher's phone chimes loudly in the hallway, making us all jump. We quickly gather everything, putting it back in the drawer, except for copies Sophie makes of the crucial pages. We need to go somewhere safe to figure this out, I whisper urgently, if the substitute is working for them. My house, Sophie offers. My parents won't be home until late. As we slip out the back entrance of the school, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. Mr. Rivera tried to protect us, and now we might be the only ones who can help protect him. None of us sleep well that night. We meet up early before school, huddled around Sophie's laptop in the corner of the library where no one can see our screens. The evidence we've gathered feels both overwhelming and completely insufficient at the same time. We need to tell Principal Vaughn, Sarah insists, tapping her fingers nervously against the table. This is way too big for us to handle alone. I'm not convinced. What if the Cortez family has people inside the school system? Mr. Rivera clearly didn't know who to trust. We can't just do nothing, Destiny argues. His family could be in serious danger. Marcus runs his hand through his hair, eyes bloodshot from staying up all night. Let's compromise. We tell Vaughn, but we're careful about what we reveal. We don't mention the flash drive or the witness protection stuff yet. We reluctantly agree and head to the principal's office during our free period. Principal Vaughn's secretary makes us wait 20 minutes before finally waving us in. Principal Vaughn barely looks up from her computer when we enter. 5 students at once? This must be serious, she says, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Sophie steps forward. It's about Mr. Rivera, ma'am. We're concerned something might have happened to him. The principal sighs dramatically. Mr. Rivera called in sick. The district sent a substitute. End of story. But he left a message on the whiteboard, Marcus presses. Something about checking his desk if anything happened to him. Principal Vaughn finally gives us her full attention, her eyes narrowing. You're telling me you went through a teacher's desk without permission? We exchange nervous glances. No, I lie quickly. We just saw the message. And with how strangely he's been acting lately, plus his family being gone, his family situation is none of your business, she interrupts sharply. And teachers are allowed to take sick days without teenage detectives launching investigations. But Destiny starts. Enough. Principal Vaughn stands up. This is exactly the kind of drama I don't need right now. Mr. Rivera is fine. His substitute will continue until he returns. Now please stop disturbing the administrative staff with wild theories and get back to class. We're dismissed so abruptly that we're standing in the hallway before we can process what happened. Well, that went terribly, Sarah mutters. Did you see how quickly she shut us down? Sophie whispers. She didn't even seem concerned. The warning bell rings, and we reluctantly separate for our next classes. I have English with the substitute, Mr. Reyes. Something about him has felt off since he arrived. Today, I notice him watching our group with particular interest. During a quiet reading period, I glance up to find him pointing his phone in my direction while pretending to check messages. The camera flash goes off accidentally, and he quickly lowers the device. But not before I see what happened. He just took my picture. After class, I tell the others what I saw. Marcus looks pale. Guys, I think someone broke into my house last night. Die. What? We all say in unison. My parents were working late, and I was at Sophie's until about 10. When I got home, things were off. My backpack had been moved. My school notebooks were in a different order. At first, I thought maybe my mom had cleaned up, but this morning she said she hadn't touched my stuff. Did anything get taken? Sarah asks. That's the weird part. My gaming laptop and headphones were right there, but they didn't touch them. It's like they were only interested in my school materials. Sophie pulls out her phone. I've been digging into Mr. Rivera's social media accounts more deeply. There's something weird about his posts from the past month. She shows us a series of seemingly normal updates, book recommendations, quotes about teaching, a few nature photos. Look at the first letter of each post, Sophie points out. If you read them in order, they spell out Cortez found me took family warehouse 4. Warehouse 4? Destiny repeats. What does that mean? Sophie pulls up another screen. I cross-referenced it with some of the numbers in his notebook. I think they're coordinates. She shows us a map with a location pinned about 30 miles outside town. There's an abandoned industrial complex out there. And Warehouse 4 is on the far edge of the property. The final bell rings, and we head toward the exit. As we push through the doors, I notice Mr. Reyes standing by his car in the parking lot, talking on his phone while staring directly at us. He quickly turns away when he sees me looking. Don't look now, I mutter. But our substitute is watching us again. We need to call that number Mr. Rivera left, Marcus says urgently. The witness protection one. Not from our phones, Sophie warns. If they're watching us, they could be tracking our calls. My neighbor has a landline, Sarah suggests. She lets me use it sometimes when my phone dies. We could go there now. As we walk towards Sarah's neighborhood, I can't shake the feeling we're being followed. Every car that passes makes me tense up. Every stranger on the sidewalk seems suspicious. What if we're getting in way over our heads? I ask quietly. These people killed a protected witness last year. What chance do we have against them? We might be the only ones who know what's happening, Destiny says firmly. Mr. Rivera trusted us enough to leave those clues. We can't just abandon him. We reach Sarah's neighbor's house and she lets us in, explaining we need to make a quick call for a group project. With shaking hands, Marcus dials the number from the flash drive. A mechanical voice answers. State your purpose. Marcus swallows hard. Blue Jay's nest is compromised. There's a long pause, and then, verification required. What was found in the third drawer? We exchange shocked glances. They were expecting this call. A flash drive and a black notebook. Marcus answers. Another pause. Stay where you are. Do not attempt to investigate further. A representative will contact you within 4 hours. The line goes dead. What do we do now? Sarah asks. Sophie looks at her map again, studying the coordinates. I don't think we can wait 24 hours. If Mr. Rivera's family is being held at that warehouse, they might not have that long. Are you suggesting we go there ourselves? I ask, my stomach dropping at the thought. I'm suggesting we at least drive by, Sophie replies. See if there's any sign of activity. We don't have to get out of the car. As we debate our next move, Sarah's phone buzzes with a notification. Her face goes pale as she reads it. It's a message request on Instagram, she whispers, turning the screen so we can all see. From an account I don't recognize. The message is simple but chilling. Stop looking, or you'll disappear too. We can't wait 24 hours, Marcus says, pacing back and forth in Sarah's neighbor's living room. If Mr. Rivera and his family are at that warehouse, they could be in serious danger. I glance at the threatening Instagram message on Sarah's phone again, my stomach twisting. Whoever sent this knows we're looking into this. They're watching us, which means we're already involved, Sophie points out, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. We can either sit here waiting for some mysterious representative who might never show up, or we can at least drive by the warehouse and see what we're dealing with. Destiny chews her lip. What if it's a trap? We stay in the car, Sophie insists. We drive by, take some photos if possible, and leave. No heroics. After a tense debate, we pile into Marcus's beat-up Honda Civic. The drive to the abandoned industrial complex is mostly silent, each of us lost in our own thoughts. The GPS leads us down increasingly remote roads until we're on a gravel path surrounded by overgrown fields. There it is, Sophie whispers. As the complex comes into view, a cluster of dilapidated warehouses with broken windows and rusted metal siding. Most of the buildings have collapsed roofs or crumbling walls, but Warehouse 4 stands relatively intact at the far edge. Marcus kills the engine about a quarter mile away, pulling off behind some trees. We should walk the rest of the way. Less chance of being spotted. I thought we were staying in the car, Sarah reminds him, her voice tight with anxiety. We'll stay back. Use the zoom on our phones to check it out, he promises. We creep through the tall grass, keeping low. The afternoon sun casts long shadows as we approach, using a line of abandoned equipment for cover. When we're about 100 yards from Warehouse 4, Sophie pulls out a small pair of binoculars from her backpack. You brought binoculars? I whisper. I was in Girl Scouts, she says with a shrug, focusing them on the warehouse. There's a black SUV parked behind the building, and I think I see someone standing guard at the side entrance. She passes me the binoculars. Through them, I can make out a man in dark clothes leaning against the wall, occasionally checking his phone. The warehouse windows are boarded up, but there's a faint light visible through the cracks. Someone's definitely in there, I confirm. We creep closer, moving from one piece of cover to the next. Behind a rusted dumpster about 50 yards from the warehouse, we find something that makes my blood run cold. A discarded coffee cup from our school cafeteria with Rivera written on it in marker. He was here, Destiny whispers, picking up the cup carefully by the edges. Sophie points to tire tracks in the dirt nearby. Looks like someone was dragged from a vehicle to the warehouse. See how the dirt is disturbed? Marcus pulls out his phone to take pictures of everything. As he's documenting the evidence, I notice movement at the warehouse entrance. 2 men emerge, both wearing dark jackets despite the warm weather. The bulges under their clothing suggest they're armed. Get down, I hiss, pulling everyone behind the dumpster. The men walk toward a different part of the complex, talking in low voices. When they're out of sight, Sarah tugs on my sleeve. We should go, now. We have enough evidence to take to the police. Wait, Sophie says, pointing to a small window at ground level, a basement or storage area. That board is loose. We could look inside. Are you insane? I whisper harshly. Those guys have guns. We came all this way, Marcus argues. 5 minutes. We look inside, take pictures, and leave. Before I can protest further, he's already crawling toward the loose board, keeping low to the ground. Sophie follows, and after a moment's hesitation, so do Destiny and Sarah. I curse under my breath and go after them. The board comes away easily, revealing a dark space below. Marcus shines his phone flashlight through the opening. It illuminates a small storage room filled with boxes and a desk pushed against the wall. Papers are scattered across it, and pinned to the wall above are photos. Photos of us. Me, Marcus, Sophie, Sarah, and Destiny. Photos taken at school, at our homes, walking down the street. They've been watching us for weeks, Destiny breathes. Sophie squeezes through the opening, ignoring our protests. There are files here, she whispers back, about Mr. Rivera's witness protection program. The rest of us reluctantly follow her inside. The room smells of dust and something metallic that might be blood. Marcus grabs a file labeled Blue Jay and flips it open. James Mercer, he reads. That must be Rivera's real name. He testified against the Cortez family 3 years ago, put their leader, Miguel Cortez, in prison for life. But Miguel's brother, Eduardo, took over, Sophie adds, reading from another document, and he's been hunting down witnesses ever since. I find a map with our school marked and circles around our neighborhoods. There are notes about our routines, our families. They know everything about us. They're using us to get to Rivera, I realize. They threatened to hurt his students if he didn't cooperate. Sarah finds something else, a laptop, still running. On the screen is a document with what looks like transfer codes for offshore accounts. I think this is what they wanted from him. Banking information, access to hidden money. Suddenly, we hear voices approaching. Heavy footsteps on the gravel outside. We need to go, now, Marcus whispers urgently. We grab whatever documents we can, stuffing them into Sophie's backpack. I snap quick photos of the wall with all our surveillance pictures. We're halfway out the window when the door to the storage room opens. Hey, what the? A man shouts. We don't wait to hear the rest. We scramble out the window and run, staying low and zigzagging through the equipment yard. Behind us, I hear shouting and the slam of a door. Then footsteps, multiple sets pounding after us. Split up, Marcus yells. Meet at the car. We scatter in different directions. I sprint alongside Sophie, heart hammering in my chest. A gunshot cracks through the air, but it sounds like a warning shot, high above our heads. They don't want to kill us. They want to catch us. Somehow, miraculously, we all make it back to the car. Marcus peels out, tires spraying gravel as we speed away. In the rearview mirror, I see the black SUV pulling out from behind the warehouse. They're following us! Sarah cries. Marcus takes a sharp turn onto a side road, then another, driving like a maniac until we're sure we've lost them. We end up at the police station, breathless and terrified. The officer at the desk looks bored as we tumble in, talking over each other in our rush to explain. Slow down, he says, holding up a hand, one at a time. We show him everything, the photos, the documents, the cup with Rivera's name. We tell him about the witness protection program, the Cortez family, the threats. He listens, taking notes. But I can see the skepticism in his eyes. So you're saying your English teacher is in witness protection, and a drug cartel kidnapped him and his family, and they're being held in an abandoned warehouse? He summarizes, his tone making it clear how ridiculous he thinks this sounds. Yes, we all say in unison. And you know this because you broke into this warehouse yourselves, after receiving threatening messages? Put that way, it does sound absurd. We have evidence, Sophie insists, pushing the documents forward. The officer sighs. Look, kids, I appreciate your concern for your teacher, but these documents could be anything. That cup could have been there for days. And these photos you took don't clearly show anyone being held against their will. But Marcus starts. I'll send a patrol car to drive by the complex, the officer concedes. But unless they see something suspicious from the road, there's not much we can do. Breaking and entering is still a crime, even if you meant well. We leave the station defeated, the weight of our failure crushing us. Mr. Rivera and his family are in danger, possibly because of our amateur investigation. And no one believes us. What do we do now? Sarah asks, her voice small. We wait for the representative to contact us, I say firmly, and we compile everything we have, every piece of evidence, every connection. We make it impossible for them to ignore us. As we walk back to Marcus's car, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. You should have listened to the warning. Now it's too late. The police station feels like a dead end as we walk out, the weight of our failure crushing me. Mr. Rivera, or James Mercer, I guess, and his family are still in danger, and we're just a bunch of high school kids nobody believes. They think we're making this up, Sarah says, her voice cracking. Like we're bored teenagers looking for attention. We need to be smarter about this, Sophie says, pulling us into a huddle near Marcus's car. Let's go to my house and organize everything we have. We'll create a file so comprehensive that no one can ignore it. An hour later, Sophie's dining room table is covered with everything we've collected. The notebook pages, photos of the warehouse, screenshots of Mr. Rivera's coded social media posts, copies of the assignments with the skip patterns highlighted, and the flash drive contents printed out. We need to present this like a case file, Sophie explains, arranging everything in logical order. Start with the initial warning signs, then the evidence of blackmail, then what we found at the warehouse. Marcus types everything up on his laptop, creating a timeline that connects all the pieces. Destiny organizes the physical evidence into a binder with plastic sleeves and color-coded tabs. What about the threatening messages? I ask, pointing to Sarah's phone with the Instagram warning. Screenshot everything, Sophie instructs, and forward them to all of us as backup. We work through the evening, our parents texting to ask where we are. We tell them we're working on a group project, which isn't entirely a lie. By midnight, we have a comprehensive dossier that would impress a detective, a complete record of Mr. Rivera's disappearance and the Cortez family's involvement. Now what? Sarah asks, staring at our work. We wait for that representative to contact us, I say. And if they don't by tomorrow, we take this to the FBI office in the city. Not local police, federal agents. We all agree and head home, exhausted but determined. I barely sleep that night, jumping at every sound outside my window, convinced someone from the Cortez family is watching my house. The next morning at school, there's a strange tension in the air. Mr. Reyes isn't in class instead. There's a different substitute, a woman who introduces herself as Miss Chen. She seems normal enough, but I notice she keeps checking her watch. At lunch, we gather at our usual table, speaking in hushed voices. Anyone here from the mysterious representative? Marcus asks. We all shake our heads. After school, we drive to the FBI office. Sophie decides. No more waiting. As the final bell rings, we're walking toward the parking lot when Principal Vaughn's voice comes over the PA system. With the following students, please report to the conference room immediately. Marcus Johnson, Sophie Patel, Sarah Rodriguez, Destiny Williams, and she reads my name last. We exchange nervous glances. Do you think they found out we went to the warehouse? Sarah whispers. Only one way to find out, Marcus says, turning back toward the building. The conference room is in the administrative wing, a space usually reserved for board meetings and parent conferences. When we walk in, Principal Vaughn is there, looking uncomfortable. Beside her sits a tall woman in a dark suit, her hair pulled back in a severe bun. Please, sit down, the woman says, gesturing to the empty chairs. We take our seats, and I notice the woman has a leather portfolio on the table in front of her. She waits until the door is closed before speaking. My name is Special Agent Diane Farrell, FBI, she says, placing a badge on the table. I understand you've been looking into the disappearance of your teacher, James Mercer, also known as Michael Rivera. My heart races. You're the representative, I blurt out. She nods. I apologize for the delay in contacting you. We had to verify some information first. Is Mr. Rivera okay? Sophie asks immediately. And his family? Agent Farrell's expression softens slightly. Thanks to the information you provided, we were able to locate Mr. Mercer and his family early this morning. They're safe now, in protective custody. A collective sigh of relief passes through our group. The coordinates you discovered led us directly to Warehouse 4, she continues. We conducted a raid at 4:30 a.m. 3 members of the Cortez organization were arrested on site. Principal Vaughn looks stunned. I had no idea this was happening in my school, she says weakly. Agent Farrell turns to her with a cool gaze. We'll discuss the school's response separately, Principal Vaughn. For now, I'd like to speak with these students alone. Once Principal Vaughn leaves, Agent Farrell's demeanor changes. She leans forward, looking at each of us in turn. What you did was incredibly dangerous, she says firmly. The Cortez family has killed federal witnesses before. They wouldn't have hesitated to harm students. We tried telling the police. Marcus protests. No one believed us. I know, she says. And while I can't condone your actions, I have to acknowledge that without your intervention, we might not have found the Mercers in time. She pauses. Eduardo Cortez was planning to move them to a location in Mexico tonight. The thought makes my stomach turn. If we'd waited, if we hadn't gone to the warehouse, there's something else you should know, Agent Farrell continues. The substitute teacher, Mr. Reyes, was working for the Cortez family. He was arrested this morning at his apartment. We found surveillance equipment and files on all of you. What about our families? Destiny asks, her voice small. Are they in danger too? We've increased patrols in your neighborhoods, but we believe the threat has been neutralized. The operation was focused on extracting information from Mr. Mercer about his testimony and the location of seized assets. With Eduardo Cortez and his lieutenants now in custody, the organization has been effectively dismantled. She opens her portfolio and pulls out 5 identical envelopes. Mr. Mercer asked me to give you these. He wanted to thank you personally, but he and his family will be relocated with new identities. For their safety, you can't know where they're going. We each take an envelope. Inside mine is a handwritten note. I knew my students were smart, but I never imagined you'd save my life. The clues I left were desperate measures, hoping someone might notice. You did more than notice, you acted. My family and I will forever be grateful. The second flash drive has a message for each of you. Password, thank you 5. 2 days later, coordinated raids across 3 states lead to the arrest of 17 members of the Cortez organization. The news doesn't mention our involvement, but Agent Farrell keeps us updated through secure messages. When we plug in the second flash drive Mr. Rivera left us, we find individual video messages. In his message to me, he looks tired but relieved. His family visible in the background, safe and together. Remember when I taught you about ordinary heroes in literature? He says, smiling slightly. How regular people face extraordinary circumstances and rise to the occasion. I never thought I'd witness it firsthand in my own classroom. Thank you for believing in the clues, for risking everything to help us. Wherever we end up, I'll carry the lesson you taught me. Never underestimate what determined students can accomplish. The video ends with him showing us a sunset, just like his coded Instagram post, but this time with his family standing beside him, alive and free. 3 months later, we receive an encrypted email through Agent Farrell. It contains only a photo of a classroom somewhere we don't recognize, at the whiteboard that reads, "The best stories are the ones where ordinary people become heroes." In the corner of the photo is a small Blue Jay figurine sitting on the teacher's desk. We know he's okay. And somewhere, teaching under a new name, he still remembers us.